this episode of For All Humans, we are going to share 5 facts that might challenge what you've been told about Muslims. Number 1, the world's Muslim population is more widespread than you might think. Muslim doesn't mean Arab. Most Muslims aren't actually Arab. In fact, only 15% of the world's Muslims are Arab. 62% of the world's Muslims live in the Asia-Pacific region, and only 20% live in the Middle East and North Africa. More Muslims live in India and Pakistan, 344 million combined, than in the entire Middle East, North Africa region, which is 317 million. Interestingly, President Donald Trump's executive order to temporarily freeze Muslim immigrants from 7 predominantly Islamic countries would only affect about 12% of the world's Muslims, according to estimates from the Pew Research Center. Of the 7 countries named in the immigration ban, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen, only one, Iran, is among the 10 countries with the largest Muslim populations. 2, Muslims not only believe in Jesus, but they also believe in the virgin birth. This highlights the special place Jesus holds as a prophet and a messenger. Mehdi Hassan writes in his article, Jesus in Islam, in The Guardian, that Jesus, or Isa as he's known in Arabic, is deemed by Islam to be a Muslim prophet rather than the Son of God or God incarnate. He's referred to by name in as many as 25 different verses of the Quran and described as the Word and the Spirit of God. No other prophet in the Quran, not even Muhammad, is given this particular honor. Jesus is often referred to as the son of Mary, and why he and his mother frequently appear together. In fact, Mary, or Maryam as she is known in the Quran, is considered by Muslims to hold the most exalted spiritual position amongst women. She's the only woman mentioned by name in Islam's holy book, and a chapter of the Quran is named after her. 3, Aisha was not 9 years old when she married Muhammad. According to John Esposito, a professor of religion and international affairs and Islamic studies at Georgetown University in the United States, Aisha was married to Muhammad in Mecca in 624 of the Common Era, after migration to Medina and the Battle of Badr. Several scholars interpret this to indicate that she had reached puberty at this age, although her age at the time is the subject of dispute. Sources differ on the age of marriage, but agree that the marriage was not consummated at the time of the marriage contract. Paul McNamara, a religious scholar, writes in the Huffington Post that the tribal expectations of that era were very stringent regarding sexual relations, and girls were expected to have reached puberty before marriage. It is possible Aisha reached puberty at an early age, but much older than 9. It's also agreed that Aisha joined Muhammad during the Battle of Badr in 624 CE. However, because no one below the age of 15 was allowed to accompany soldiers in battle, Aisha should have been at least 15 in 624 CE, and therefore at least 13 when she was married, following the Hijra in 622 CE. Furthermore, as this continues to be a source of controversy and debate, scholars have revisited Aisha's age at marriage. Reports about the age of her sister, Asma, who was 10 years older than her, combined with information about Asma's age at the time of her death, used to suggest that Aisha was over 10 years old at the time of marriage and over 15 at the time of its consummation. 4, Muslim women are not bald and do not shower with their hijabs, headscarves on. Duh, of course they're not, and don't. This might sound unreasonable, but believe me, a quick search on Google and you will find that these are common thoughts that cross people's minds if they do not happen to have Muslim girlfriends who wear the hijab. An American hijab-wearing teenager, a teenage blogger from California, poking fun at common misconceptions about hijabis, once posted a selfie which went viral of her in the shower wearing a hijab fashioned out of a bath towel with the caption, "Of course I do." Jokes aside, Muslim women usually don't wear the hijab at home with their families. Muslim women can take off their hijabs with their girlfriends, and in fact, Muslim women are only required to observe the hijab in front of any man that they could theoretically marry. This means that the hijab is not obligatory in front of the father, brothers, grandfathers, uncles, or young children. 5. Muslims are the most affected by terrorism. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's talk facts. First and foremost, it is key to define what a terrorist attack entails. The Global Terrorism Database, GTD, at the University of Maryland defines terrorist attacks as the threatened or actual use of illegal force and violence by a non-state actor to attain a political, economic, religious, or social goal through fear, coercion, or intimidation. The Global Terrorism Index, the GTI, is a report published annually by the Institute for Economics and Peace. It provides a comprehensive summary of the key global trends and patterns in terrorism over the last 20 years, covering the period from the beginning of 1998 to the end of 2017. According to the 2018 GTI, 7 of the top 10 countries who suffer the most from terrorism due to a variety of political, economic and religious conflicts are in the majority Muslim countries. In fact, the 20 most fatal terrorist attacks in 2017 were targeted at Muslim civilians in mosques, residential neighbourhoods and UN refugee camps. A 2015 BBC report highlights that yes, it's not straightforward to determine the victims' religious affiliations, and that when people are asked about terrorist attacks, they might think of Charlie Hebdo, the London Tube and bus bombs, and of course 9/11, of which Muslim casualties were not in the majority. But the overall number of deadly terrorist attacks in France, the UK, Spain and the US is very low by international standards. In fact, between 2004 and 2013, the UK suffered 400 terrorist attacks, mostly in Northern Ireland, and almost all of them were non-lethal. The US experienced 131 attacks, fewer than 20 of which were lethal. There were 47 attacks in France, but in Iraq, there were 12,000 attacks and 8,000 of those were lethal. So maybe we need to widen our perception and perspective of terrorism and terrorist attacks just a little bit more.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Meanwhile, share this with your friends and stay tuned for the next one.